Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our second stream of the weekend. This being the realistic tier. Um, this being the realistic tier compared to the equal tier that we saw yesterday, round Belgium or Spa. Round 9 of this championship. Second stream for this category that there has been, well, certainly that I've done this season. So, as we are just, in fact, we're very close to starting, I believe, but I'll just have a quick run through of the championship order, as I know quite a few people will be unfamiliar with it, given so little streams on this one. So yeah, just before we're about to get into the race, so we've got Don't Blink, who is currently leading the championship and is leading the championship by a fairly big margin. It must be said. Hasn't finished off the podium all races. All season, and he's completed in every single race. So, he's on 226 points. Doing a really good season is a Don't Blink in the equal tier, but also more so in the realistic. We've got Ajax in second in the Ferrari. He is second on 155 points. So you're looking at maths. What is that? A 71 point difference, I think. So nearly three race wins difference between first and second. But you've got that, and then you've got Koenigsegg in third on 148 points. With George in fourth in the second Red Bull in fourth place on 108. So you've got both Red Bulls and both Ferraris up there. Fighting for the championship, as you'd probably expect. Obviously, with this being the realistic tier, you'd expect them better cars to be up there fighting for the championship. But yes, here we are then, Belgium, round 9. We saw quite an interesting race yesterday. Not in terms of the race win, that was fairly comfortable for Tycho yesterday. But it was very interesting in terms of the rest of the podium places and the rest of the top 5. So hopefully we get a little bit more closer action. Obviously yesterday's qualifying session was in the wet. Doesn't look like it's going to be the case this time. It looks like we're very much going to be in for a dry qualifying. We've got 12 drivers on the grid today, so one more than yesterday. Is a better attendance. It looks like on today's roster. So very good job by the drivers. And here we go then. Qualifying for round 9 has just started with 30 seconds in. No drivers currently out onto the track, but we're just seeing in the Mercedes garage them getting ready for some activity. It looks like both drivers are going to come out. Tycho Path, in true fashion, is going to be one of the first ones to come out onto the track. Comes out on the medium compound tyres, a tactic that we've seen quite often from him, both in the realistic and the equal tier, setting that banker lap in on the medium compound tyre. It's something usually in an 18-minute qualifying session, which we have this weekend. You'd expect most drivers to get 3 racing laps or 3 qualifying laps done within the 18-minute qualifying session. That's what you'd normally expect. Obviously, with Spa being, in the dry, about a 1 minute 42, 1 minute 43, that's the times we're sort of going to be expecting up towards the top of the tables anyway. Because it's such a long lap round here, you're going to have to be sort of on it from the get-go in terms of getting your laps in if you are going to have 3 shots at a pole for today, or 3 racing laps. We saw yesterday with Don't Blink how getting the time in just slightly, ever so slightly wrong can be big time, can cost him big time. Obviously, he didn't manage to get his final qualifying lap time in the wet, meant he qualified 7th, which really wasn't ideal for him in the race. Fought back well, but had that little incident yesterday. But yeah, getting your timing ever so slightly wrong around a track like this can be oh so crucial in how your qualifying session develops. But we're going to stick on board with Taika Pathé. He's going to be the first one to set a lap time, so he shifts all the way down into gear 3, hits the apex on the right side, gets on the power nice and early, and powers all the way down to what is a well, the name of it is Eau Rouge and a Radion there. Bloody hell, you've commentated on this yesterday, I'm already forgetting the corner names. Flat out through there from the Haas drive, and it's pretty much what we expected. And he's hitting upwards of 211, 212 miles an hour, yeah, just about, as he slams on the brakes for the end of the first sector. So very easy to lose the back end as your car is just wanting to push itself to the limit of grip, but he's held onto it ever so well. Very difficult corner this. It's a downhill, but you're also turning right. Very easy to snatch a brake on the front left, but he's managed to do that quite well. Goes compact corner with no name, and then here we are, just shifting down a gear. Oh, 2 gears actually there. Obviously he is in the Haas, so it's a bit of a less competitive car than that, probably expected why he's pushing so far. Just doesn't quite touch the curbing on the right hand side, does on the left hand side. Obviously has the confidence to get up and close and personal with the curbing, and there we are then. He's keeping it nice and clean, obviously setting purple sectors. He's the only person to go through these sectors for the time being, so that's why he'll be going purple. But it's a nice clean lap here for Taika Path, certainly good for a benchmark time, and he's powering all the way through again, approaching just over 200 miles an hour up to the bus stop chicane, slams on the brakes, goes right, goes left, wants to get on the power nice and early, and it's a short run up to the line. What is this lap going to be? It's a 144.8, and that is going to be the first time we see in this qualifying session. Now let's see, we've got the Alpine there of just going to set a lap time. I think we've got Aeromich here as well, just going to finish his lap time. So we're going to stick on board with Aeromich. Obviously had a very good race yesterday, finishing in P2, and for the moment he goes into provisional pole with a 144.8. The Alpine of Poppy there just slotting into 4th with a 146.0. Don't Blink as well, also on a lap. Obviously the championship leader, very comfortable championship leader. He'll be looking to challenge for the upper ends of the grid at this moment in time. Koenigsegg goes a 144.4 on the medium compound tyre, don't forget. He is in the Ferrari, but still very good lap time there from the man currently occupying 2nd place in the championship standings. We've got Don't Blink here, just negotiating the final bus stop chicane. Surely this should be a provisional pole for the time being. He's off on the soft compound tyre, and look at that, puts a 2nd gap in between him and Koenigsegg, and really lays down what sort of pace he's been expecting from him in this qualifying session. Time Lord just finishing his 2nd sector. He's currently about a 1.5 seconds down on the best at the minute, so going to have a little bit of time to find there for Time Lord. MXS Torsler crosses the line, a 146.4. We've got Ajax, Jordster and Goat Alonso, it seems, all still in the pits, but Time Lord here just going to cross the finish line. Where was this lap time put him? It is 3rd place actually, with a 144.5, so only 1.1 seconds slower there. He might have gained some time in the final sector, but very good lap time there from Time Lord, puts him a 3rd place on the grid. But obviously good thing to note and point out there after that first set of runs. Obviously Koenigsegg and Taika Path both on the medium compound tyre, which obviously with this being such a long track will have more of an effect around this sort of a circuit than it will do most being on the slower compound. So certainly expect Zig to be fighting for a pole position. Taika, obviously, with him being in the Haas, I know he's been driving very well this season, but I don't quite think he's got the pace to qualify on pole position. But he can certainly get up there in and around the top 5. But for the first round of lap times there, Yeah, looks like Don't Blink. It's really setting the early pace, second over the Ferrari of Koenigsegg, but we've still got Jordster and Ajax in the other Ferrari and Red Bull to set their lap time. So it'll be interesting to see how close they can get to their retrospective teammates. But we've just got Go Alonso just come out on his first flying lap on his out lap. We've got George just coming out of the pits, and I think we've got Ajax there also coming out of the pits. So obviously these three being a little bit offset in terms of everybody else's timed runs. Obviously holding back whilst everyone sets their first flying laps. Time Lord just retrieving back into the pits. But yeah, interesting tactic from these three, it must be said. Obviously opting to miss out on that first run. But yeah, Go Alonso is going to be the first person to start out of the trio to start his first flying lap. So we're going to stay on board with the Alfa Romeo. Probably looking at a solid points finish here in that Alfa Romeo car, which in terms of its characteristics does quite well in terms of like high traction circuits. There's really quite isn't the circuit for that, but nevertheless he'll be hoping to score a point or two. But he just lines up his lap now, gets the DRS wide open, charging towards turn one, picks his braking spot near the 100-meter board, shifts it all the way down to a third gear, just clips the apex on the inside, enables him to get in the power nice and early as he powers down towards Eau Rouge and then Radion. Is it going to be lit flat out? No, he actually shifts down there, it looked like. His trade that we actually saw with Ajax in the equal tier yesterday, shifting down through Radion, just loses all the momentum down this back straight, and it's a 30.8 first sector, and we'll have to see how that compares with everyone else's first sector. But we're going to stick on board with the Alfa Romeo as he negotiates or starts to negotiate the second sector. Obviously mainly downforce based. There's a lot of fast medium speed corners, really pushing the grip limits of the car to the absolute max, as you can see there, and he actually invalidated there, Go Alonso, just got a bit too greedy in terms of the turning, and that has unfortunately meant for him that he is out of the running on this first flying lap. Jordster here looks to have picked up a little bit of traffic. We've got a car out in front that's not really getting out of the way, although MXS Tarossa now doing just about that, but we don't know how much time Jordster has actually lost due to that. But he's gonna stick on board with this lap nonetheless. What's it going to be for the first two sectors? Apparently it's going to be a purple middle sector. We don't know how accurate that is yet, but it's a 1:15.8 for the first two sectors thus far. I know Time Lord, when he posted his lap time, he was around the 1:16 mark, so this has got to be at least the front row for George, so you would have thought. Obviously with him being in the Red Bull, you'd expect him to be right up there, but here we are then. He's going to cross the line. Where is this lap going to put Jordster? It's going to put him on the front row of the grid in second place, just what a Red Bull would have wanted from the driver currently occupying fourth in the standings. We've got Ajax here in the Ferrari setting his first flying lap, setting a 30 dead first sector, I think that was. So he's clearly quite on the pace. Oh, and he just much like Go Alonso did on the previous lap, pushing the limits just that little bit too much, and that meant that his lap time is unfortunately invalidated. We've got Tychopath currently on a flying lap. How are these first two sectors holding up? Well, he's currently 1.5 tenths quicker on his previous lap time. You would have thought they would have found a little bit more pace than that on the soft compound tyre, but that is currently good enough to put him in 5th place, currently being ousted by Aeromich by 0.5 tenth in front of him. So surely if he continues this level of pace, he should be fine to overtake the Mercedes. But we're going to stick on board with him as he just negotiates the final chicane, powers towards the line. It's 4th place. You actually managed to jump Time Lord as well. Very good good lap time for Taika Path in that Haas. We've got Savage Ami, who's improving by half a second as it stands, currently good enough for around about where his teammate is in 6th place. So hopefully he can find that little bit more time in this final chicane as he powers towards the line. Where is this lap going to put him? It's going to put him in 7th place, just behind his teammate. Koenigsegg does in fact improve and is just 0.2 of a second behind the Red Bull of Don't Blink, who is currently nearly 0.3 up on his previous best lap time. Don't Blink here really showing his hand in terms of how much pace that he's got. Time Lord, unfortunately for him, is got an invalidated lap time, so we're going to go back on board with the man currently on provisional pole, who is much rather dominated this season thus far. Is he going to extend his advantage out front? He is indeed. He improves by just shy of 0.2. It's a 1:43.3, and that puts him within nearly 0.4 of a second gap between him and Koenigsegg behind him. We've got Aeromich just going out on his lap. We've got the Operator USA, who's just on an out lap as well. I think we've got MX Testarossa, who I think has just posted a lap time of a 1:46.2. But yeah, really, really good lap time there from Don't Blink. He's looked so comfortable in this Red Bull throughout the season, and once again, just proving his qualities in this season. Just really, really above and beyond everybody else on this grid, especially in that Red Bull, is just absolutely sticking to the track. Like he would have wanted it to. But a little bit of pressure now, especially on the Ferrari of Ajax, who you would have thought would have been up near that sort of front 2 rows of the grid. Obviously not set a lap time just yet, opted to not go out on his first run and invalidated his second, so he's only going to really get one more chance at this, is the Ferrari driver. So hopefully for his sake and for his championship challenge, that he can have a nice, clean but fast, more importantly fast lap that will propel him up in towards the front couple of rows on the grid. Obviously we've got Red Bull, Ferrari, Red Bull currently on the track. Taika Path there doing very well in the Haas to put himself up in the 4th. Both Mercedes would feel like they've got more to improve, currently sitting in 6th and 7th. Obviously this may not be quite the track for them, with the Mercedes being quite a draggy car. Yeah, maybe not helping in terms of these long straights. But we've got I think we've got the Operator USA just starting his flying lap. We've got Poppy as well, just started his flying lap as well. So we'll stay on board with the Alpine. Currently finds himself a 10th down on his previous lap. But hopefully he'll be able to find a little bit more time as the lap develops. Again, negotiating the tricky right-hander, does well not to lock a brake and to lose it on traction. And again, it's such a fast-flowing circuit, this section. All downhill, all off camber, makes it that much difficult to contain the rear end. But Poppy's doing an amazing job of it thus far. Doesn't invalidate like we've seen Ajax and Goat Alonso have done on their laps. And he is really, really pulling this lap together, is Poppy in the Alpine. Again, doing quite well to avoid all the curbs apart from that one on the left. Is he going to maybe touch the curb? He very faintly touches the curb on the inside. And look at that, he's nearly half a second finding improvements on his lap time. Will be good enough for 8th place as things stand. Not quite fast enough to break into the 144s thus far, but it depends on how much time he can find in this final sector. And he's only got 2 more corners to negotiate to find out how exactly this lap will unfold for him. So he's just done that. He powers towards the line. Where is this going to put the Alpine? It puts him in 8th place. Only improves by just under 3.5 tenths. Unfortunately for him, lost a little bit of time in that final sector. And no, Ajax, unfortunately, has invalidated his lap time. So hopefully he's got enough fuel in that Ferrari to have another go, because as things stand, he will be starting outside of the top 10 in 11th place. Same goes for Goat Alonso. He has also, unfortunately for him, invalidated his lap time. The pressure really, truly is on Ajax here, who would have been up there in terms of the favourites for pole position, but it's obviously not coming together for him. The Operator USA have just posted the lap time. A 1:45.2 takes his 8th place back that he previously lost to Poppy. But yeah, this is a going to be really, really troublesome now for the Ferrari of Ajax. So we're going to stick on board with him. And we'll see how this lap time or this lap unfolds. Brakes really, really late there, does Ajax. Yeah, kind of missed the apex on the front right there. Didn't quite set himself up nicely for this run. Doesn't seem to lift off as he went through Radion there. So I suppose, well, it's already going a lot better than he has on the previous laps. He's still got this lap that isn't invalidated for him. It's a 30.8 first sector, which is fairly steady. Probably looking at around this pace to be in around 4th or 5th, but you would have thought with the car that he's driving he'll be able to eke out that little bit more lap time compared to those around him. But here we go then, he negotiates the left-hander. He's taking it very, very cautiously. You could see all he wants to do is set a lap time, which he's not been able to do thus far. I think we did see some movement. I think we've just seen Time Lord go up into 4th place, one off 144.3, pushes Psychopath back down into 5th. Ajax here, currently still doing all right on this lap, hasn't invalidated. We'll see where these first two sectors put him. It's a 1:17.0. It's not particularly quick, I must admit. You're probably going to be looking at around 6th or 7th here if he can't find any drastic improvement in this final sector. It's really not been the ideal qualifying session here for Ajax, but he's still got some corners to go, still got some time to make up, but we'll see where that sort of puts him, where he can put that Ferrari. And here we are then, a short run up to the line. Where is Ajax going to qualify? It's only in 10th. Wow, quite a disappointment, you must admit, for a driver who's been... Oh, and Don't Blink just spins on his outlap, on his fastest lap, sorry. Almost well, he might have put Koenigsegg off his flying lap. Oh, no, he hasn't, because he's still oh, we've got Don't Blink disqualified from the session, it seems. So... yeah, obviously, I know he spun out from his fastest lap. I don't think that's a fact. No, it has. Don't Blink, the championship leader, has now been disqualified and has lost his provisional pole. And that means Koenigsegg is, well, for the most part, he's going to be starting on pole position. He looks like he's going to improve anyway. And he does with a 1:43.4. Jordster is also improving at a rate of 0.3 of a second, not quite enough to take pole back. Aeromich does a brilliant lap time of a 1:44.2. He now finds himself in 3rd. What can Jordster do? Can he challenge the Ferrari of Koenigsegg out front? No, he can't. He goes within 0.4 of a second. But the big upset there is Don't Blink, who has been disqualified from the session. I must admit that is incredibly harsh. I mean, I know he spun out on his lap, but yeah, the game's obviously disqualified him for facing the wrong way. I don't quite know what else he was meant to do there, to be fair. But nevertheless, he now finds himself at the back of the grid. The championship leader, who has felt so comfortable around this track, now finds himself at the back of the grid. Well, 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 well. What a crazy end to that qualifying session. We thought pole position was all done and dusted, but yet again we've seen some drama involving drivers being disqualified, and Koenigsegg, as a result, takes pole position in the Ferrari by nearly 0.4 of a second from Jordster. Tychopath, I must have missed that, did an absolutely incredible last lap to a jump back ahead of Mitch. He finds himself in 3rd. Aero Mitch qualifies in 4th. Time Lord is in 5th. Savage Hammy is in 6th. The Operator USA in 7th. Poppy, or Waves as he's currently previously ran under, is in 8th. MXS Drosser in 9th. Ajax in 10th. Goat Alonso in 11th. And Dome Blink, who was in provisional pole and was going to take it, but unfortunately for him has been disqualified. Yeah, it's really, I must say that's really harsh. I didn't see his full on board from, but what I understand, he was just trying to drive off track to get out of the way of other drivers, and because of that the game has disqualified him. Really unfortunate for him, but he should have the pace to pull off another recovery drive like we saw him yesterday. Yeah, just really unfortunate for him, but looks like it's going to be a dry race at least. So yeah, he'll have to obviously offset his strategy compared to everybody else who has any chance of winning this race, it seems. So the formation lap is just getting underway. We're just going to try and see if we can see everyone's tyre choices. So everyone opting for the medium tyre apart from Ajax in 10th. He has opted for the hard tyre. Surprises me that Go, Alonso and Don't Blink have also opted for the medium tyre. I thought they might have wanted to try something a little bit different in comparison to everybody else. But that is not the case. They've decided that the medium strategy is obviously the way to go. And yeah, everybody else, barring the Ferrari in 10th, will be starting on the medium compound tyre. So yeah, this race has been set up quite nicely for Koenigsegg and for Georgster as well. Obviously, their main championship rival, Don't Blink, starting all the way down in 12th. You'd expect him to fight his way through the field and gain, finish in the respectable end of the points at least. But this is a really good chance, especially for Koenigsegg, who currently lies in second place in the championship, to gain some ground on him and really take the championship fight to Don't Blink, because as I said, Don't Blink is yet to finish outside the podium. Despite competing in every single race this season, he's finished no lower than third, winning the majority of them races. I think he's got 2 third place finishes, 1 second place, and the rest have been wins. So he'll definitely, eyes will definitely be on him as he tries to fight his way back through the field. It'll be interesting to see what Ajax can do in the Ferrari. Obviously, he looked to be really struggling in qualifying in terms of extracting that performance out of the Ferrari. A Ferrari which, as we have seen, has the pace for pole position. So it'll be interesting to see how he can correlate that into race pace. And obviously on the hard compound tyre, we'll be running slightly different strategies compared to everybody else. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the Mercedes go on as well. Will Mitch have an absolutely storming start again? It's probably the best start I've seen anyone do with the start he got yesterday in equal tier. Went from 8th place all the way up to a 3rd place, I think it was. Absolutely brilliant. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do. But yeah, I'm just going to try and see if I can find a camera angle that is going to work with me here. I don't think I will, to be honest, so I might just have to, yeah, settle for one of the onboards here. Really, really stupid that the onboards have worked like that, but here we are. So we've got 5 red lights, and away we go for the Belgian Grand Prix. It looks to be a good start from from Koenigsegg, but look at that, appalling start from Jordster. And look at Mitch around the outside. He's had another storming start, all from 4th place up into 2nd, and we've got a spinner right at the back. Is that a Red Bull? Is that a Red Bull spinning around? It is, it's Jordster. Jordster, who started on 2nd, has had an absolute shocker and finds himself right at the back of the grid. But Aero Mitch, after his absolutely brilliant start from 4th, is he now going to find himself in the lead of the race? He's going to size up a move possibly on the Ferrari. But he thinks better of it. He's got Tykopath trying to make a move round the outside, but Tykopath thinks better of it. We've got some spinners as well. We've got Don't Blink making progress. We've got a spinner of a McLaren there for the Operator USA. Time Lord has also lost a bit of pace, it seems. Jordster now recovering to 10th place in the race, but wow, what absolute drama. So we've had an absolute brilliant start from Mitch yet again. Only up 2 places, but finds himself in 2nd. Koenigsegg keeps his 1st place. Tykopath now finds himself in the podium places. Savage Hammy moving places as well. Poppy or Waves also gaining. Ajax from 10th. On the hard tie now finds himself in 6th. We've got Testarossa in 7th. We've got some movement further back as well. Yeah, I think Time Lord has lost the front wing there completely. I wonder if it was these two who made contact at the beginning, because it definitely ended with the McLaren in the walls. But it looks like the Alpine of Time Lord has lost his entire front wing. But Don't Blink has made really good progress as well. Oh, and we've got a retirement out on track. And that has brought out the VSC, it seems. Right, so we've had some... Yeah, we have had some drama out indeed. That'll help Time Lord in his... Well, he won't lose as much time as he pits for a new front wing. He won't lose as much time, obviously, with the rest of the grid under virtual safety car conditions. But yeah, really unfortunate for the person who qualified 5th, I believe it was. So yeah, unfortunate for the Alpine driver to be caught up in that. But yeah, so we've got Don't Blink in 8th, so he's moved up 4 places. We've got Jordster, who, I mean, again, I didn't quite get a good enough look at him, but all I know is that he didn't get that great a run off the start, and yeah, ended up spinning out on the exit of the first corner. We've got Ajax, obviously, running on the hard compound tyre, up in 6th place. He might be one to look out for here, as everybody else, obviously, ahead of him on the medium compound tyre. And we've got 2 penalties already. Savage Hammy and Poppy obviously getting too eager onto the virtual safety car and have landed themselves 5-second time penalties. So even better news for those behind him. So Ajax, MXS Testarossa and Don't Blink. It looks like Don't Blink here might possibly be looking to make a move maybe around the outside. We're going to stick on board with him. He has so much more confidence than the Alfa Romeo and just drives cleanly around the outside. And that is Don't Blink being promoted up into 7th place, clearly not wasting any time as he looks to track down what was rightfully his pole position in the previous session. He looks to make amends by that, and yeah, he's on a mad one, shall we, for better lack of term. We've got a Poppy or Waves here, possibly lining up a move for the on the Mercedes of Savage Hammy. He massively outbrakes himself, leaves himself vulnerable to the Mercedes, but he immediately serve his drive-through, I think, that it looks like. So, yeah, obviously Waves deciding to stay out a little bit more to try and counteract that. I believe it was a drive-through penalty, not a. Yeah, it was. He's not received any work on his car. So yeah, but look at Ajax and Don't Blink. So their progress through the field has been rather quick, to be fair. After both disastrous qualifying sessions, Ajax just powers his way past the Alpine, and so does Don't Blink. Don't Blink just powers his way past as well. And yeah, both Ajax and Don't Blink now up into the top 5, which is very welcoming. And they're only a couple of seconds now off the top 3. Koenigsegg doing a really good job of managing that pace out in front, but they're not exactly. He's not exactly shifting the Mercedes and Haas of Aeromich and Tycho Path behind. But Ajax and Don't Blink now, obviously in a little bit of clean air, can have the opportunity now to try and pull that gap back and to really put themselves in a fight for the win of this race. Really, really good start there from the person who started 10th and 12th respectively. We've got Jordster also on a bit of a recovery drive after a nightmare first lap. He finds himself in 9th. Obviously, Savage Hami has just served his drive. That's why he's so far down. I'm expecting Waves or Poppy to serve his drive through this lap. So expect to see him peel off into the pits. But looks like Aeromich has just lost that DRS range from the Ferrari out in front. And that's going to leave him vulnerable to the Haas of Tycho behind him. And yeah, there you go. Waves just peeling off into the pits to serve his drive-through penalty. But Tycho Path here looking quite racy up against the Mercedes, and might possibly be on for a move of his own. And we'll see him be promoted up into 2nd place if he can just keep that line, keep the throttle fully on the floor, which he has done. Get the DRS, use a little bit of ERS as well, and look at this. Tycho Path is gaining. Is he going to think about the move? Don't Blink already back past the Ferrari of Ajax. That Red Bull straight line speed is something to behold, it seems. But Tycho Path not being able to quite size up that move, and while all the while that these two are fighting, they're both losing time out to the Ferrari in front of them and losing time to the Red Bull behind them. They've got to make sure that if they're going to make the most out of this amazing start that these two drivers have had, that they don't end up fighting unnecessarily and slowing them both down. But at the minute, it is Aeromich who currently occupies 2nd place, ahead of the overachieving Haas, you must say, in 3rd place at the minute. But yeah, Don't Blink now up into 4th place, has been able to get past the Ferrari of Ajax there without much of a fight, which is what he would have wanted, and now he can really set in sights on chasing the Haas and Mercedes of Tycho Path and Aeromich, and then possibly from there look or have his sights on the Ferrari out in front, which would be quite the drive. Oh, it's been quite the drive already, starting from 12th to find himself in 4th place by lap 4. It is very reminiscent of a certain Dutch driver in the real Belgium Grand Prix in a F122. Yeah, indeed it is. We'll have to come back to him though, because again, Tycho Path really, really close behind. Savage Hami seems to be making a move. Oh, I'll tell you what, he was making a move up past the Alpine of Poppy. But he seems to have gone a little bit ambitious there. But look at Tycho Path. He's really got a run now on the Mercedes of Aeromich. Surely the Aeromich can't put too much of a fight against that straight line speed. And yeah, he doesn't. And that is Tycho Path now being promoted up into 2nd place. We've got Jordster promoting himself up into 7th, past the Alfa Romeo of Goat Alonso. He has the other Alfa Romeo of the Testarossa just ahead of him. So yeah, it's been a quite good recovery drive from Jordster thus far. And look at that, Don't Blink all the more meanwhile catching up to this pair ahead. Hopefully for Don't Blink's sake that they don't cause a little bit of a DRS strain, and which sort of negates his use of DRS and might mean they'll be stuck behind these two for a few laps. But Koenigsegg is really checking out, well, it's just checking out in front, nearly 4 seconds now, 3.5 seconds clear of this fighting pack. And look at that, Don't Blink already within a second of... Oh, we've got a retirement of Goat Alonso, it seems, and that is a full course safety car. Now this might cause a load of pit stops to happen now. The gap that Koenigsegg did so well to build now effectively negated, but surely everybody is now just going to peel into the pits. In fact, Aeromich doesn't. Don't Blink does. Ajax does. In fact, I thought he might have been stayed out with him being on the hard tyre, but no, he's decided to pit as well. Aeromich, for whatever reason, has decided to stay out, obviously going different compared to everybody else. Everybody else has pitted, it seems. Don't Blink. Yeah, just waiting for everybody to sort themselves out in the pits. Obviously, Ajax has had to go onto the medium compound tyre since he started on the hard. That's going to be a tall order. See if he can make them medium lasts all the way to the end of the Grand Prix. Everybody else should, after a few laps under the safety car, make their way to the end of the Grand Prix on a set of hard tyres. That shouldn't be too much of an issue. But yeah, Aeromich now is in the lead of this race. Obviously still has to pit. Very interesting strategy there from the Mercedes man. Surely you can only imagine that's going to hurt him later on. But we'll see where this ends up. And it looks like Aeromich is just, I'll just say, slightly distracted there. It looks like he finally is coming in for his pit stop. And yeah, that is going to cost him big time. The man who was, well, running in third place will now drop surely to the back of the grid. Has really not gone well there for the Mercedes, and what that does mean is that Koenigsegg now retakes the lead of the race. Tykerpath in second, but Don't Blink has worked out absolutely beautifully for him. Currently running in third place, obviously is on the same strategy as everybody else, and he is now within a real shot of winning this race, you feel. But you better watch out for Ajax as well. You've got to try and see how he fares. I mean, he is on the medium compound tyre compared to everybody else on the hards. Maybe they'll last till the end of the race. We don't actually know. But if they can run to the end of the race, then he'll definitely be one to watch out for sure, definitely. Yeah, so Aeromich has, unfortunately for him, come out right at the back of the pack. I'd imagine the safety car will probably come into the pits at the end of this lap, and just as I say it, there we go. So Koenigsegg will now become our de facto safety car. Just going to try and back up the pit pack for a little while. Obviously, it's up to his discretion as and when he lets go and resumes normal racing conditions. But yeah, this is a real opportunity for both Ajax and Don't Blink, you feel like. Opportunities you would have felt would have been hard come by given their qualifying starting positions. But Koenigsegg has shown that he has the pace to compete this race thus far, and it looks like he's just got the race back underway. So here we are then. Tychopath, though, has seemed to have caught on, and he hasn't really left the Haas driver for dead. Don't Blink, there's a little bit of a gap between him and the Haas driver, although he's gathered that up within the... Oh, I'll tell you what, Ajax getting really sideways on the exit of turn 1 there. Cost him a lot of time towards the Red Bull and Haas driver in front of him. Tychopath obviously doesn't have the DRS. That's not enabled until the next couple of laps, so obviously can't make a move on the race leader. But I'll tell you what, who is making a move, and that is Time Lord up against his teammate. Oh, I'll tell you what, very good racing there, not to run into each other, but waves there, just defending his position and make sure that his teammate stays behind him. That is currently the closest battle on the grid, apart from Don't Blink, who is now right up behind the Haas of Tychopath, and Ajax has got his bit together after that little bit of a shaky moment in the first corner. But Don't Blink there really all over the back of the Haas driver. He'll be wanting to get past the Haas as soon as possible to make sure that the Ferrari out in front doesn't drive away too hurriedly. But I'll tell you what, Ajax on their medium compound tyre is looking very racy indeed, so Don't Blink is going to have to be watching his front, watching out the car in front and watching his mirrors for the car behind as well. But as of yet, nothing changes between these three. It's still Tycho, still Don't Blink, and still Ajax running in that order. But you can't help but feel like that is going to change sooner rather than later. MX Testarossa currently running in 5th. You'd have a feeling Jordster will have something to say about that in the next lap or two. But look at Don't Blink really getting up close and behind that gearbox of the Haas. Surely we'll see the Red Bull straight line speed just be too powerful for this Haas, although Tychopath is burning through the majority of his ERS to try and enable him to stay ahead, and I'll tell you what, it's working thus far. Obviously, as soon as the DRS is opened, I don't feel like that's a position that Tychopath can hold on to much longer, but for the time being he stays in second place and is currently putting that Haas well above where it should be. You'd expect him to be challenging sort of the top 5, but no, he's up there in second place doing an absolutely excellent job. But I'll tell you what, this Alpine here of, well, obviously both Alpines running the medium compound tyre, much like Ajax in the Ferrari is, them also feeling that the medium tyre is the tyre to be on at this stage of the Grand Prix, and they're certainly feeling the effects of that. But I'll tell you what, Aeromich has just pulled off a really slick move around the outside of the Alpine of Time Lord, and he promotes himself up into 9th place. Now Don't Blink is only 0.2 of a second back behind we've got a spinner. I think that's MX Testarossa, who was running in 5th. Unfortunately for him, now finds himself at the back of the pack after a unfortunate spin. But look at Don't Blink really challenging the Haas of Tychopath. And there's some contact. There's some contact between him and Ajax there. Oh, that's really, really unfortunate for Don't Blink. Yeah, I don't think that was in Ajax's intention there, but unfortunately I think it was him who initiated the contact, and that has left Don't Blink, who was looking in a really good position to challenge for the win. That has left him down back near the pack. Really unfortunate for the Red Bull driver, and I feel like there might be a penalty coming Ajax's way there, unfortunately. He just seemed to just negotiate. He must have misjudged where the Red Bull was, or where his front wing was, and yeah, and he's ended up spinning the Red Bull of Don't Blink there. Really unfortunate. But yeah, that's, well, all Ajax can do now is just try and focus on his race, try and forget about it, and try and push his way up through the field. We're just approaching half race distance. MX Testarossa just pitted for a set of soft tyres. Don't Blink can still have some decent points this race. He'll just need to try and get on with it and try and forget that really ever happened if he can. I'm sure he'll be absolutely seething with rage after an incident that, well, from the first looks, wasn't really his fault, but nonetheless, he'll have to move on from it. And yeah, Tychopath now under the pressure of Ajax in the Ferrari. And yeah, obviously with the compound tyre advantage, the car advantage Ajax have, you can't help but feel that Tychopath isn't going to be able to defend this much longer. And yeah, he just has more confidence, more speed in that Ferrari, does Ajax. Opens the DRS. Obviously, we'll be doing a little bit of energy saving while he's in there. And yeah, he just seems to be sizing up this move. Don't Blink actually is losing a fair bit of time to Time Lord behind him. I'm assuming that's just him trying to get the tyres back under working temperature after his spin. But yeah, look at Ajax. Tychopath is going to burn through as much ERS as it allows him. But yeah, Ajax is doing the same. He's got the DRS. He's going to move around to the outside. He's going to make a move for it. Tychopath squeezed him and was just about lenient enough to allow that to work. Very, very harsh from Tycho there. But at the end of the day, it was fully within the rules. And yeah, it was hard but fair. Obviously, Tycho having to do extra work due to this tyre and car disadvantage. But yeah, that's really cost Ajax time there to his teammate, who is really just, again, just checking out in front, managing the pace, managing the situation. And yeah, doing a really good job out in front. But Ajax will want to make sure that he is a lot further alongside than he was the previous lap. You can just see he has so much more confidence in the brakes and the handling of the car. And yeah, look at that. He's really gaining and gaining. That's without using any ERS. He might actually look to make a move on into the bus stop chicane here. No, I think he's just going to back out a little bit and save himself for the main race. Look at how much speed he gains under braking. It's absolutely sensational. But yeah, here we go again then. He's going to try and line up a move. He has the DRS. And yeah, he's just going to try and linger behind just long enough. And yeah, he's a lot closer this time, you can see. Tychopath is going to burn through most of his ERS again, just to try and stave off the attack of the Ferrari behind him. But once again, I have a feeling that it's not going to be of any use. He's going to open the DRS. He has the ERS enabled as well. Once again, Tychopath is going to defend the inside. Once again, Ajax is going to try and go around the outside. And again, Tychopath tried to push him to the max. He's borderline here, Tychopath with his defending. I must say, he's effectively nearly pushed him off the racetrack there. But again, he survives another attack. We've got Aeromich and Savage Hammy in a battle. This is quite an intriguing battle here between the Mercedes and the Alpines. Poppy there, just or Waves just diving down the inside, not quite getting the move done, but his teammate is going to maybe try and move down the inside now. He's going to try and make sure he doesn't lose control. Absolutely brilliantly handled there from Time Lord. Just to make sure he didn't lose control there. Very easy once you tap the curb on the left-hand side. But once again, we're going back again to the battle between Tychopath and Ajax. Tychopath defending within the maximum of the rulebook here, really pushing the boundaries of his defending to try and keep that Ferrari behind him. and yeah, it's working for him so far. But at the end of the day, the way this is going, I can see a massive bit of contact happening if he continues defending the way he is. And here we go. I think we've just seen Time Lord. In fact, I've just seen Poppy just dive into the pits, and once again, Ajax really close up behind the Haas of Tychopath. Once again, Tychopath using most of his ERS to try and defend. We've got a yellow flag. I think that's for MX Testarossa in the back there. And I don't think Ajax is going to be close enough on this occasion to warrant a move. No, he holds back. Probably wise this time around. Time Lord breezes past the Mercedes of Savage Army, promotes himself up into 6th place. Whilst this battle for 2nd and 3rd place continues on, Jordster doing a really good job of just casually watching after his own race and is slowly gaining on these front two. Obviously, if these two were to have some form of incident or some form of contact, you'd expect Jordster just to be there to pick up the pieces. So that is something definitely to look out for in terms of the Red Bull. Don't Blink not really making any inroads as much on Savage Army in front of him. Gap's still around just under 8 seconds. But look how close the Ferrari of Ajax is now to the back of that Haas. Tychopath, again, going to really try and defend this one, maybe on the inside in the bus stop. Yeah, he thinks about doing it, but obviously Ajax thinks better of trying to make the move. And we're going to stick on board as he once again gathers the DRS, trying to save as much ERS he can, just try and dump it all the way on the run down to Eau Rouge and Radion. Is he going to use it this time? Yes, he is. He's using most of his ERS. Tychopath decides better of it, and this might be the best opportunity that Ajax has certainly had in a few laps. Tychopath again burning through his ERS. So is the Ferrari of Ajax. Once again, Tychopath is going to try and defend the inside. Ajax thinks better of making a move this time. And but what he is getting Tychopath to do is use all of his ERS, which is making him is going to make him very vulnerable in the next lap or two. I'm just wondering how much sustained pressure Ajax will put on Tychopath. Obviously, with him being on the medium compound tyre, you have a feel like there's going to be a point where the medium compound tyre is going to lose its effectiveness or have less of an advantage over the hard compound tyre. So you have a feel like Ajax is really getting to the point now where it's a do or nothing move. I mean, I don't think the medium tyres are going to be holding on that much longer in terms of the performance of the hard compound. So he needs to try and get this move done sooner rather than later, you would feel like. Once again, he's just up behind the the Haas. Aramich actually is looking very close to Jordster. So I've just mentioned how Jordster is just managing his pace, managing his race. Well, it looks like he's going to have to try and push a little bit because he's got the Mercedes of Aeromich directly behind him. Aeromich, obviously, one of them ones who pitted very late under the safety car. Actually ended up ruining his race a little bit, but he's doing a very good job of trying to recover that. Looks like Ajax there is going to dump a load of his ERS, so maybe he's thinking about making another move on the Haas. I'm assuming Tychopath, yeah, again, going to use most of his ERS on this straight, but Ajax is already close enough, already in the rear view wing. Is he going to try and dive down the inside? Again, Tychopath just placed his car quite beautifully there, just sort of had Ajax second guessing in terms of where he was going to be. And yeah, Tychopath making that Haas as wide as humanly possible. And well, I thought he was a bit ambiguous at the start, a bit ambitious in terms of his defensive manoeuvres, trying to keep that Ferrari behind him, but he's certainly calmed it down in the next few laps, and he's defending really, really well, it must be said. Aeromich really close and personal up behind the rear ring of Jordster. Jordster just not having, or to be fair, the Red Bulls not really having that much pace this time around. Yeah, Don't Blink not really setting the world alight, neither is Jordster. Obviously, race pace for the Red Bulls not really up there with the Ferraris or the Mercedes, it seems, certainly. But yeah, we're going to stay on board, and Don't Blink has a 3-second time penalty just to add to his woes this race. Yeah, it's getting to a little bit of a stalemate here between, well, closest battles between Tychopath and Ajax and Jordster and Aeromich. Once again, the Ferrari of Ajax looking really close to the back of that Haas. I wonder if Ajax is going to use a little bit of ERS. No, he decides to save it. Tychopath just seems to have the straight line speed that enables him to defend or wave off these attacks from waves. We've got the Mercedes of Aeromich making a beautiful move around the outside. The Red Bull of Jordster promotes himself up into 4th place. And I'll tell you what, Aeromich has a little bit of pace about him. He might, I know he's got a 3-second time penalty, but he certainly is showing a little bit of pace and will sooner or later be catching up to the back of this pair here of Tychopath and Ajax. So I mentioned that Ajax was under a little bit of a cosh here to try and get this move done with their medium compound tyre not really holding on as much as he would have wanted. He would have wanted to try and get that move done so he can sort of progress through in this race. I think challenging his teammate is sort of off the table at the minute. It looks like Koenigsegg really does have this race covered. 4-second gap out in front, has a load of ERS saved back just in case, as we have another spin for Don't Blink, it seems. His race, really unfortunately for him, has unravelled. But yeah, we've got we've got Aeromich really, he already pulled the second gap out to Jordster behind him. Only 1.5 seconds behind this battle. Aeromich really having some decent pace at the end of this Grand Prix. It looks like maybe pitting later and having the freshness of the hard tyre compared to everybody else was indeed the right move. But Ajax really needs to try and get this work done. I think he's been trying to save the ERS as best he could, but Tychopath is doing the same. And yeah, he's not really challenging, or he's not really making this challenge for second place work for him that much. Yeah, it's definitely the closest battle out on track, other than Don't Blink and Poppy. We saw Poppy get past Don't Blink after Don't Blink had that spin earlier on. So this should be quite easy stuff for... Whoa! I'll tell you what, that was incredibly close there. I don't know what was going on there between Don't Blink and Poppy there, but Don't Blink just was on the grass there, I think through his own accord. I don't think there was anything too malicious Poppy did there. Obviously, Don't Blink not really having the race that he would have wanted. Maybe a bit of frustration creeping in behind him. But this is the sort of gap that Ajax needed to keep to Tychopath. Because, I mean, with Mitch closing in on them behind, he really does need to try and get this move done as soon as he can. Obviously, we've seen how hard Tychopath has been defending this race. We'll see how, and I think that's going to be another spin for Don't Blink, who really is having an absolute nightmare race. But yeah, this must be the opportunity now that Ajax is thinking of making a move up against the Haas of Tychopath. Tychopath dumping most of his ERS, as is the Ferrari of Ajax. So we're going to stick on board with him and see if he can possibly get this move done. He closes, he's going to get the DRS, he's going to close. Again, can't quite get it. Just, I think that Haas has too much straight line speed to warrant the Ferrari a decent overtaking opportunity. All the meanwhile, Aramich is just maintaining that gap now, not necessarily as, yeah, Don't Blink has unfortunately retired. I think that was to be expected. He's had a very frustrating Grand Prix yet again. Obviously a man who clearly had the pace to win this race, but through no fault of his own, has been taken out, for lack of a better term. And yeah, really, really unfortunate for the Red Bull driver and championship leader. But yeah, Ajax just... This is a battle that's been brewing for half of the race now, just trying to size him up best he can in terms of making the move done. He just can't quite get... I think obviously a difference in setup. Tychopath obviously running a lot lower wings. Aramich is now really just hovering over a second behind these two. And look, he's actually in DRS range, so this could soon be turning into a three-way fight for the last podium positions. Bearing in mind, Aramich does have a 3-second time penalty, so any move he does on track will probably be rectified, as Time Lord actually does a very late pit stop. He obviously thinks that his medium tyres can't make it to the end. But Ajax, this is definitely the closest we've seen him pretty much this entire Grand Prix to the back of Tychopath, so surely this is going to be the moment or the chance that Ajax has of overtaking. Tychopath once again going to defend on the inside, and once again is going to try and defend it, going to try and make a move round the outside, is he? Absolutely brilliant racing between these two, but finally Ajax gets that move done and Tychopath has to slot in back into third place, and look who has just arrived onto the party. It's Aramich in the Mercedes, and hopefully, well, he'll be looking at this battle and thinking, you know what, I fancy a piece of this, I fancy some of that podium placing, and he is just in the perfect time, just caught up to the back of this pack. Ajax now will be looking to try and stretch that advantage, and is Aramich going to maybe try and move down the inside? He thinks better of it, but he has so much more confidence and pace, depending on how quick he can get past this Haas of Tychopath. He might still be able to finish on the podium, such as the amount of pace that he's showing later on in this Grand Prix. Ajax doing well to sort of try and check out in front, still can't quite shake the second gap to Tychopath behind him, but Tychopath has a real issue of trying to keep the Mercedes of Mitch behind him. Mitch braking ridiculously late on the bus stop chicane, and that has actually ended up costing him quite a fair bit of time. Now Ajax here has to be careful. He spent so much time behind that Haas. He's going to have to try and be careful to try and counteract the sheer speed that Tychopath has in that setup in that Haas. It looks like Ajax here is going to be in a whole lot of trouble in terms of trying to defend himself from a move from the Haas of Tychopath. Tychopath is going to try and make a move down the inside. And again, Tychopath judges his braking absolutely perfectly and gets that move done again. And he is back up into second place. Ajax must hate the sight of that Haas car. He's been stuck behind it all race. He finally gets past it in the next lap. He's back behind it again. Absolutely must hate the sight of that car now. But Mitch now, if he has any sort of chance to try and finish on the podium, really needs to be making some overtaking opportunities just so he can try and pull some sort of gap. Because at the moment, I mean, George is actually catching in on this little trio out in front. Maybe he has a chance of finishing on the podium. Who knows? This has been a really, really good end to this race too, which was rather, to be fair, stagnating in the middle. Not really anything happening throughout large majorities of it, but this has really turned into quite the battle towards the last podium places. And look at how close the Mercedes of Mitch is to the back of that Ferrari. Is he maybe going to try and think of a move down the inside of the bus stop chicane? He's thinking of it, but thinks better of it. But I'll tell you what, Ajax has not done himself any favours here. He's left himself quite vulnerable in terms of his traction outside of that corner. And look at Jordster. He's now within DRS range of this pack. So we've got a four-way fight for the last reaches of the podium places. Mitch all over the back of that Ferrari. Tykopath is going to have to try and judge this one really, really carefully. It looks like he's just about got the pace or the straight line speed. But I'll tell you what, Mitch in the Mercedes is looking really, really competitive. And maybe the Ferrari of Ajax is going to try and make a move. No, he's not. He's not quite close enough. And Jordster is not only now just beginning to join the party. So we're going to have one final lap, it seems. Well, 1.5 laps of full racing with these three drivers, or these four drivers, shall I say, absolutely fighting to the death. And look at that. There's been contact. I think that was Mitch. Yeah, I think Mitch unfortunately tapped the rear end of the Ferrari of Ajax, and that has promoted the Red Bull of Jordster up into the podium places. I mean, I weren't quite on board with Mitch, but I'm almost definitely sure there were contact between him and the Ferrari, and that unfortunately for Ajax means he is now up down into 6th place. Tykopath 2nd place seems to be secure. Jordster is now probably going to be rounding out the podium places, but that is really not how he would have wanted that race to finish, Aero Mitch. I mean, I could be wrong, but it certainly looked like on the offset camera they just got his braking a little too late and just tapped the rear end of that Ferrari of Ajax, and that unfortunately meant that he spun round to no accord. Really, really unfortunate for him. But no such stories or no such drama, should I say, have happened to our race leader. He's been leading right from the very start. Ever since he got that pole position, he's been looking absolutely comfortable. Looks to have got every single sort of race scenario covered. And yeah, he's definitely been a class of his own. Tycho does, I would say he does deserve that 2nd place. Did pull off some really harsh manoeuvres, I would say, defensive manoeuvres against that Ferrari initially, but he kept it clean thereafter and has fully deserved yet another brilliant drive from him to bring it home in 2nd for Haas. And Jordster has sort of popped out of nowhere after what was an absolute nightmare first lap for him. He's done a brilliant recovery drive to look like moving. Well, it looks like to be gaining a podium position out of it. But we're going to go back on board with our race leader. This is going to be a hell of a result for Koenigsegg after seeing his nearest... after seeing the championship leader, Don't Blink, have an absolute nightmare race and scoring no points as a result. He will now take a huge chunk of his title lead and has firmly reignited his championship challenge. Koenigsegg has looked absolutely untouchable at times today, and there we are, rounding the bus stop chicane to win the Belgian Grand Prix for Ferrari. Absolutely brilliant stuff from the Ferrari man. Tykopath finishes in 2nd in the Haas. Jordster rounds off the podium in the Red Bull. Absolutely brilliant job from him. Aero Mitch finishes in 4th in the end. Might have a penalty coming later to him due to that contact with Ajax. Savage Hammy finishes in 5th, but is demoted to 6th after his penalty. Ajax, unluckily for him, finishes in 5th. Time Lord finishes in 7th. Poppy will finish in 8th. And then we've just got Testarossa finishing his final racing lap and will round off the points in 9th place. But what a turn up for the championship that is. Koenigsegg doing an absolutely brilliant job of making the most of quite an unfortunate race for our race leader. Getting disqualified quite unfairly in qualifying and then getting taken out in the race. I mean, these sort of races happen throughout a season, and yeah, you just need to try and make the most of every opportunity. And Zig has just done that to absolute perfection. Race leader, absolutely untouchable, as I said, for some parts today. Um, but yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff from him. And yeah, I'll bring you your official race classification in just a second. And there we are, Koenigsegg picking up the win after a quite dominant drive, it has to be said. No one really challenged him, and absolutely brilliant job from the Ferrari driver. We're just going to try and see if we can invite the podium to the party as we just started this. So that is your official race classification. Koenigsegg picking up the win, Tyker Path coming in second, Jordster finishing in third, Aeromich in fourth, Ajax in fifth, Savage Hami in sixth, Time Lord in seventh, Poppy in eighth, or Wave, sorry, should I say, in eighth. MX Testarossa in a ninth, Don't Blink in 10th, Goat Alonso in 11th, and the Operator USA in 12th. Whew, what a ending to the race that was, it must say. Was rather dull for the majority of it, but the battle for the lower ends of the podium really came alive during those final few laps. But yeah, we should have all the podium drivers in the party. Just make sure that your voices are included. Sorry, guys. As we just try and do this. Hang on. Oh, I've completely forgotten what to do on this game. There we are. Right. So first of all, we'll go to you, Jordster. Third place in the end there. A bit of a roller coaster weekend. It looks like for you there. Obviously, a great qualifying session, qualifying in second, and then an absolutely nightmare first start. Let's just talk about that start to begin with. It didn't look like you got a great launch, and then all of a sudden we see you spinning out on the exit of turn one. Just have a quick talk through your start there, Jordster.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can indeed.
Yeah, I had a terrible start. Mitch always, it's like a rocket ship every time he starts.
Yeah.
So I just kind of got pushed to the outside a little bit, and whenever I went to go back in, I just didn't have any room. I was pushed onto the yellow part, and the car just got unsettled, and I lost it. So yeah,
Uh,
there's a lot of panic to drain my ERS and to try to get back, but thankfully I never took any damage. And then we got that safety car, and that really negated a lot of that. So kind of
yeah,
got
yeah.
lucky in the end.
Well, you were quite a dark horse throughout that entire Grand Prix. As I said, after the Manic was the what was the first lap. Obviously, you dropped back quite a lot. We saw some contact further up the field, so that enabled you to gain a few positions, and then from there, even after the safety car, you just sort of kept to yourself, sort of like kept the pace consistent, and then right at the end there, you saw yourself in a podium position. What was just talk us through in terms of what was your sort of objectives, especially obviously after your first lap. Where did you think you can maybe end up? Were you aiming to get back to the podium places? Were you aiming for a top five? What were you sort of aiming as the race went on?
After the safety car, I was aiming for at least top four. And
Yeah.
when I seen Ajax was going to take the mediums all the way, I mean, that's a pretty that's a pretty hefty job there to try and get done. So I knew
Yeah,
that his tires were going to be wearing out, and especially fighting Tycho, his ERS would have been wearing out too. And it was only a matter of time before Mitch got slowed down by them, and he had a time penalty. So I was right kind of in that fourth place mindset.
yeah.
So whenever the contact was made, I mean, that's just a bonus position that I wasn't expecting. So I mean, that Haas of Tycho's was flying, and I mean, congrats to Zig on his first win. That the Ferrari just dominated that race for sure.
Yeah. No, well, it's been an absolutely brilliant race from you. As I said, brilliant qualifying, brilliant recovery drive. Congratulations to you, George. Thoroughly deserved. We'll now
Thank you.
go on to you, Tycho. Obviously, doing wonders in that Haas, getting it into a P2. Was obviously quite a good start from you as well as you and Mitch and the Mercedes really benefiting from that chaotic start. Just quickly talk us through obviously that start of yours. I think you ended up gaining one or two places. Just quickly talk us through that.
Well, I started third, and I think I lost out to Mitch, but I also overtook Georgester, so I didn't really lose out too much.
All right.
So yeah, I just stayed in third place
Mhm.
after the first lap. I
Yep.
was really hoping I'd be able to get P2 at least, not get jumped by anyone else to try to get Zig on the straight because I knew I had good straight line speed, but fortunately Mitch got me, and I also got hit turn one by I think Cammy or someone, so that didn't help at all either.
Mhm.
So yeah, and
Fair enough.
that race was pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah, well, we'll move on to that. Obviously, after the safety car, um, we initially thought, obviously, when you were now operating and in P2 after Mitch obviously pitted late under the safety car and that dropped him back, you were in a net second place. We thought maybe it would have been Domeblink that you would have been challenging, but obviously there was a little bit of contact between Ajax and Domeblink that put him out of the race. So it was left between you and Ajax for the majority of that race. Obviously, you were being very aggressive with your defending initially on the first few a couple of laps. Obviously, trying to make that car as wide as possible to try and keep him behind him. Was there any sort of worry that maybe you weren't going to try and keep that Ferrari behind him? And you were probably going to have to concede that second place, or did you have confidence throughout that you were going to be able to hold on to it?
I was just gonna try to stay ahead of him as long as I possibly could,
Hmm.
and he did eventually get past me, but since he was on the medium since like lap 9 or something like that, his
Yeah.
tires were just dead by the end. So by the
Oh,
time he overtook me, it was just easy to overtake him back, since
oh.
I had the straight line speed advantage too.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's fair enough. As I said, doing absolute wonders again. Putting that Haas in P2 where it really shouldn't belong. Really, really good drive from you, Tycho. Congratulations on that. But we will now move on to the man we didn't really speak about much in the stream. It must be said that's because he was first, pretty much out of the majority of it, and absolutely dominated. Zig, congratulations on the win. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Obviously, it's big day for you in terms of the championship battle, seeing your closest rival obviously not take any points this weekend. Whether through was any fault of his own is a different matter, but you've still gained 25 points on him. It's going to be really, really interesting now to see if you can keep up this momentum in the coming weekends. Just briefly talk us through how that weekend went. It seemed like you were just relaxing throughout the majority of it.
Yeah, first of all, thank you and congrats to Tycho and George Sir. Tycho, man, awesome drive.
Hmm.
Putting the house where it doesn't belong, like you said. Yeah, man, uh, such a relief. I've had so many wins, potential wins taken away by something or the other, either me
Hmm.
making a mistake or, bad luck. A lot of times me screwing up strategy. So this felt good. Yeah. Qualifying didn't go as planned. I was doing faster laps in practice, and then Blink had pole, and I was surprised. Like I saw him spun, kind of freaked me out because he was right on the racing line, and then he got
Yeah.
disqualified. So the pole was extremely lucky, but I knew I had race pace to fight him. I would have
Yeah.
loved to fight him and have won, but I'll take this.
Mhm.
Start of the race, got a good start, held P1, and then had to train some battery to keep Mitch behind. He was closing in fast. I thought he was going to take me. But then after that, I pulled a gap in sector 2. Um, no worries at all. But the VSC and safety cars definitely, added a variable. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Second stint was all about, creating that 1 second gap to Tycho and then just chilling. I didn't push a single lap after I pulled that gap because I had a couple of crazy or scary moments on the hards. I'm like, I
Yeah.
just want to bring it home. It didn't seem like anyone was able to pass Tycho with his straight line speed, so I'm like, that's a good buffer to have. But I had more than 50% ERS almost throughout the race, so
Yeah.
yeah, happy with
Yeah.
that one.
No, yeah, but I say you should be. You absolutely, as you say, absolutely dominated that one. Looks thoroughly comfortable throughout. Obviously, as you've mentioned when you were talking there, safety car. Well, you had a VSC and a virtual and a full safety car as well. Threw a little bit of variety into the mix. Was there any sort of point where you think maybe, because obviously I know there was a little bit, I think you built like a 4 or 5 second gap prior to the safety car. Was there any sort of issue or slight worry that maybe that has brought the others back into play, or were you fully confident that you had this in the bag no matter what situation arose?
I think even after safety car, I thought I had it because I think I DM'd Tycho. I had probably 6 tenths in the bag if I really needed to push.
Hmm.
Especially, sector 1, I was not using a whole lot of ERS, which was, you could see the gap from Tycho to me decrease by like four tenths or 5 tenths. But then, yeah, I had some in reserve. Like I was gonna push if Blink passed Tycho and then,
Yeah.
like keep him out of DRS. But then I don't know what lap he fell out, but at one point I looked at the leaderboard and he was behind, so I don't know what happened there. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
that was fun.
Unfortunately, unfortunately for Link, he had a bit of a nightmare weekend. As I said, majority of it
Yeah,
weren't his fault, it seemed. But as I said, you'll still take that. Is this now the start of the championship challenge? I think that puts you, I think just shy of 50 points behind, something like 48 or 48, just 7 points or something like that. Obviously, still quite a big gap to make up, but obviously we're halfway through the season now. Still plenty of races left. Is this where the championship challenge begins?
I've said that for a few races, but I think you've got to be practical. If you look at the gap, it's
Mm,
I'll need a lot of good luck, and he'll need a lot of bad luck. And then
mm,
don't forget about Ajax. He's
yes.
fast as fuck. So it's hard to beat these guys.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm just happy with the win. Monza's coming up. I think Ferrari in P3 would be a win at Monza.
Yeah. Well,
But
let's
we'll see.
hope. No, yeah, no. Either way, though, absolutely brilliant drive from music. Absolutely dominated.
Appreciate it.
It must be said. And yeah, that concludes the interviews for this weekend. Yeah, obviously, yeah, we're done in Belgium. Obviously, we will be back in next weekend. I have completely forgotten where we are next weekend. We are in.
France or
Monza?
something like that.
Is it France? It is Monza. It is
Uh,
Monza.
Monza.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
it is
Monza.
Monza.
It,
Yeah.
it is Monza, yeah. So, yeah, that's where
Yeah.
we'll be next weekend. So make sure you join us for that, guys. It's been an absolutely pleasure commentating, as always. And I will see you guys later. Goodbye.